Hi everyone, my name's Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and welcome to 2024. This is the first time you're seeing me. You haven't seen me for a while. In 2023, I really had to recover after doing the 36 panels I did in 2023. Then I felt like I was done recovering and then I got sick. Literally sick from the beginning of 2024 until now. So there hasn't been any content. I'm really sorry. I have a bunch of videos coming for you. So, just prepare. That's why I have to film at nighttime. That's why I have this really bright light. I promise the next ones will be better. I wanted to start off with an ins and outs and an overall 2023 wrap up. I'm going to start off with the ins and outs, and this is going to be a mix of personal and also blog and stuff. I feel like you've been seeing last year some of the channel diversify in terms of what your content you're seeing from me. You're seeing knitting things. You're hearing about my personal journeys with productivity, I guess. And so that's going to continue in the ins and outs, but also in 2024. So the first thing I thought was, I want to diversify my reading even more. This is an extremely relevant topic right now. So let me know if you want me to do a whole video about diversifying your reading. This has been an active goal of mine for a really long time. Basically, ever since I started blogging, every year I have the goal to increase the diversity of my reading. Every year, and if you've seen in any of my wrap-ups, I tell you how diverse each month was. I've been keeping track of it in a spreadsheet. So, I'm consciously thinking about it, but I realize that maybe you have questions or maybe you want tips, so I can do kind of a longer video on that. If you want me to, let me know in the comments below, but that is a continual goal I have for 2024. I know also based on my own reflection about my reading taste and also what I read last year, that there's some areas that I want to diversify even more, some areas where I think I'm doing really well. So, it's about taking stock of the choices, the authors, the kind of books that I'm reading, and pushing myself to go out of my comfort zone in terms of what I'm just used to, in terms of, I'll just read the next release from an author I really love. I want to continuously push myself to read more diversely, to read more about the world that I'm a part of. That's one of my ins. Another one of my ins is I like to be a little bit more of a mood reader. Right now, I'm a very, very scheduled reader. I have a Trello board. If you've been following me for a really long time, you've seen my Trello board, but I have a Trello board, and I talk about the schedule, how I schedule my reading. I would like to be a little bit more of a mood reader. I don't know how to make this happen. My goal was that I would take one book out of my rotation and let that be a mood reading slot, if that makes any sense. And then I would be able to kind of decide what I want to read. It would probably be backlist, but it also could be future upcoming books. I've been approved for arcs that are coming out later in the year, and according to my schedule, I wouldn't be reading them until a month before, maybe 2 months before. But, if I got one approved, then I could jump into it immediately. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's one of my goals. We'll see. I'm trying to make more concrete goals when I make goals in general. So that's my effort. The next one is that I want to cultivate more time for hobbies. If you followed me in 2023, you'll know that some big hobbies that I cultivated were crocheting and polymer clay earrings. I've been knitting for a while. I showed you a lot of all of these kind of hobbies last year. I will continue to do so. I think it's so fun. But I want to cultivate more time for it and more thoughtful time, I guess, right? In 2023, specifically at the end, I was letting a lot of kind of deadlines for these hobbies, rule the schedule for the hobbies. So, I'd have, I want to finish this project before X. I want to finish it and give it to these people. I had a bunch of earrings that I wanted to make and bring to Yalk with me, so I had all these deadlines for it, and it felt really, really stressful. So in 2023, I'd love to cultivate more, I was going to say wholesome, but more intentional time for the hobbies to make it part of a sort of better regulated kind of thing. I feel like if I had to sum up my ideas for 2024, it would kind of be regulation, maybe moderation, both of these kinds of things to kind of bring my stress levels just kind of down in a variety of different aspects. The next one is very much related to that. I would love to pick up jogging. I have not run in forever. In high school, I did track and cross country and I hated it, but I would love to kind of jog casually. That would be the goal. That's like the aesthetic, that's the vibe I'm going for 2024. I'd love to get back into yoga. I did this a lot in college, but I'd love to continue that as well. I feel like yoga is one of those things where I do it for a while and I feel so, so good. And then, you have those hobbies where you have one streak or a day that kind of just breaks the streak and then it just falls into, like, just crumbles into the cliffs, into the abyss. So that's another goal. And then the last one is meditation. I have been using Headspace for a while and I would love to continue using it. I've been using it on and off in 2023, but I want to make it more of a habit in 2024 and find a way to put that into my schedule, and find a way that is sustainable to do so in my schedule, if that makes any sense. I don't want it to be something where like I wake up and I'm kind of like, oh, for my to-do list tasks for the day, I have to meditate. No, I want to make it part of my routine in that sense. The next one is DNFing. I feel really bad about DNFing, but it means that in 2023, I read some books where I was like, it's taking me forever to get through it. Like, I just don't want to read it. And in 2024, I want to go with that feeling and be like, don't read it. Obviously it's different if I have, commitments and whatever, right? Situationally wise, it is different in some certain contexts. But in general, I want to go with this feeling of kind of realizing that my time is valuable, just to me as like a person. And if I'm not enjoying something, I should feel able to put it down. Conversely, I should feel able to pick it back up again if I feel like it later in the mood reading slot. But I want to go with this feeling of being able to put things down that don't suit me. I want to like Marie Kondo my reading, I guess. The next one is specifically relating to YouTube. Cultivated experimental content is what I've decided. So I would love for the content to be a little bit more intentional, a little bit more cultivated. I talked about that in some other videos, I think in 2023, but I'm talking about more like listicles. I want to have content that I personally would really love to watch. For example, I don't know. I really want to write. I really want to do kind of magical pen pals. I really want to do, themes I really love, found family. I really want to do lists and themes and discussion videos. Those are two kind of things that I really want to do. Experimental content, and the fact that I love to vlog more. I'm so bad at vlogging, but I've been experimenting a little bit with TikTok vlogs last year, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'd love to kind of do that in a camera form and not just on TikTok. So that's what I mean by experimental content, but cultivated in the sense that I'm not just going to be like, oh, I want to try this. I want to try this. Like, I want to think about things I like to do or things I want to do and bring them in. I'd love to do a video all about making bookish earrings. That would be something really fun. I want to go back to doing more makeup, bookish makeup, or makeup videos in general. That's kind of what I did a lot of when I started my channels. I would do lives with you all where I would do my makeup on YouTube live for a book look. I would love to do something similar to that. I'd love to film it as well. This is something as well. So I was doing TikTok. Like, I think a lot of things I really, really like to do in 2020 to like 2022, I guess, moved over more to short-term content on TikTok. Obviously, follow me there if you don't. But I would love to bring it back and either take the same content I love in long form and then sort of shorten it for TikTok, and not just kind of like do only for TikTok, if that makes any sense. So those are kind of my ins. My outs are, I would love to not feel guilty about not reading or not working. I've talked about this in a few videos in the past, but I am so bad about taking intentional rest. I am so bad at taking time to like let my brain, let my body kind of just rest and not feel guilty about not working on the next thing. If I finish my schedule reading, I then immediately jump on to the next days because I'm like, oh, I want to get a head start on the next days, but not in a, oh, I want to get a head start on the next days so I'll have less to do the next day, but so that I can do even more next day. And I feel like this mindset has slowly been chipping away at my mental health, my stress level or rising stress level, and also my physical body. I've been struggling a lot recently with the toll that stress and the toll of the anxiety has been taking on my body on and off throughout 2023. So that's something that has to change in 2024. And so that's a sign of what I'm trying to do. I'm really having to be very, very serious right now about lowering both stress and anxiety to stop the physical effects it is having on my body. So those are that's the big out. Like that's the main out. The next one is it was kind of what I was already talking about: hyper reading and reading productivity. Not always trying to push myself to read so that I can read more in the future. I want it to be a choice if I read more. I've been doing that in January because I was sick, and that really, when I'm sick, it's so hard for me to take time off, to take like work off, to take time off from reading. When I'm literally so sick, I can't read. It was really hard for me in January already. So this is what I'm talking about, right? Being able to know when to slow down, when to chill, when to relax, when to give myself not only physical rest because I need it, like because my body is crumbling, but also because my mental state and my creativity will just be a lot better. In the times that I was feeling sick, I was still thinking about a lot of things I want to film, a lot of video ideas. So I have a huge list of things that I want to film. And that's what I'm talking about. Even though I was sick and I feel like feeling awful, really awful, I was still able to have a little bit of creative spark come back. And so I'd love to be able to foster that. I'd love to get back into hand lettering, which I was doing a ton of on my blog. I'll try to find some really, really old posts and link them down below. But I would love to go back to that as well. Have a little bit more space for organic creative sparks, I guess. Next is overconsumption of books and merch. And I'm talking about buying a lot of the same editions. Look, I seriously admire people who are able to do that, who love doing that. That's their passion. I love seeing them on shelves. It's just not realistic for me, right? Like the shelf that you see behind me is my main shelf. I have 2 shelves. It's my main shelf. This is like, I posted a photo. I'll try to find it. I'll post it on my Instagram about the state of my shelves. And they're dire. So I'm talking about not only overconsumption of books in terms of collecting multiple editions or in like trying to deny the hype, right? Like the FOMO hype is more what I'm talking about for the overconsumption of books, but also merch, right? Do I need to own all of a certain type of merch? No. So I'm trying to really think about reining that in and sort of not even in like I'm not going to buy X, I'm not going to buy Y. Because for me, what I think is more healthy is for me to kind of break down in my mind, okay, why are you feeling this way? What can you do to address how you're feeling? And not just like a very firm rule. It'll get the job done, but it will feel so much more restrictive. And at the end of the day, it won't address the root of the problem, or it won't address the cause. So that's what I'm thinking about. I realize I'm not being very succinct or very straightforward. So if you want to hear anything else, basically an explanation of everything else, then let me know in the comments. The next is holding on to things. I not only mean books, I try to do book purges really a lot, as much as I can, basically. But there's a few things where I'm holding on to where I'm like, do I need this? Right? Like at some point I wanted it, maybe the FOMO fear got to me, but do I need it anymore? Right? What does it serve me? I try very much to get rid of a book if I'm not going to reread it or if I don't feel like I can use it in a list or in content. But in general, I would really love to kind of not feel like I have to hold on to things, let things be a memory, maybe talk about them on camera, but then have a sort of memory of that and then let it go. Just be able to let it go. So that's the second to last thing. And something that I also already talked about as well is 2024, the year of no hauls. Like I'm just not going to do it. I feel like I've talked about that in a previous video, which I will link below. But I mean, that kind of just ties into the last couple things I've been talking about. And that is the end of my outs. I feel pretty good about these ins and outs. It's a lot of things that you may have heard me say about before, but I'm trying to look at it a little bit more holistically and also be a little bit more concrete in what I want to see, what kind of change I want to see. And so basically the 2023 wrap up is going to be super, super fast. It's just going to be stats basically. In 2023, I read 386 books, which I just like, I had to count that a couple of times because I was just shocked. I have a reading spreadsheet, but yeah, I'm going to be doing much more in-depth 2023 wrap-ups in terms of my favorite YA books, my favorite romance books. So in those ones, you'll be like, you'll be able to see, oh, I read X amount of romance books and these are my top 10, that like those great kind of stats you'll see in those breakdown videos, which are coming. But I read a lot of debuts, obviously, for the panels. I read a lot of books for panels, and so that's just naturally folded into 386. Of the 386, though, I read 52% of these featured BIPOC main characters or characters of color as main characters, and 39% of them featured queer main characters. So in general, that's really great. Okay, my target has always been minimum 50%, minimum 33, as you've been seeing if you watched some of my wrap-ups from last year. Over the months, I fluctuate up and down and whatever, but to have that as like an overall goal, and then to have that in all 386 books, like as a whole, I just feel really good about that. As I said at the very beginning of this video, there are some aspects, some groups, some marginalized identities, some experiences that I want to read more of in 2024, and then are certainly lacking in 2023. But overall, as a whole, I feel pretty good about that. And that's kind of why I keep this statistic or keep this check, I guess, in every monthly wrap up. So every month I'm thinking about it. Every month I know that it's coming. And I also mentioned already that I moderated 36 panels. I'll leave a playlist to the panels. I'm so excited for the panels that are coming up. I already have like a master list of all the debut panels. I've already coming up with some other really fun panel ideas with other authors. I'm just so excited for this panel season. It has taken a little bit for me to kind of get on my feet because I was sick, but also get on my feet in terms of kind of like, this is a procedure. This is how, the ways that I do it. These are the graphics. These are the links. Like all of these things have really gotten streamlined in 2023, but rolling into 2024 with all that experience of the 36 panels and 2023 behind me, I feel really good about going into 2024. So we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe I'm just riding the post-sick glow. But I will see you in the next videos. I will see you in the 2023 wrap-up videos, and I will also see you after the 2023 wrap-up videos in a lot of other video ideas that I'm actually really, really excited for and going to be trying out. So I hope you have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and 2024 year, and I will see you in the next one.